All right, exciting. So, ladies and gentlemen, kids, whoever's watching this Zoom interview, this is True Love. I just call her Trew, one of our good friends from Los Angeles. And I'm gonna give an introduction to Trew, but I think the best way I can describe Trew is that she is an art machine, if I know one.
I'll
Yes.
take it.
True is a makeup artist. She is a creative. She's writing and directing a show called I think Rhyme and Reason, if I remember the name correctly. And you also in the NFT world, and you're doing art scavenger hunts in the streets of Los Angeles. A lot of activism goes hand in hand with your artwork. So there's so much to talk about, and I probably am missing a few titles here, but I'm so happy and glad that you're joining us today for this interview, Drew.
It's an honor to be here. Honestly, it's it's one of those things where in the growth of my development, I very rarely understand the true impact of what I'm doing because I'm just in the middle of creating. So the fact that you guys said that you had been talking about reaching out to me in over a month is like I'm like somebody was thinking about me for a month.
More than a month, more than a
More
month.
than a month, more than a
Yeah.
month. So it's an honor to be a part of this. I really believe in this project, and I believe in celebrating artists. I think that for a long time as a culture, have been struggling with valuing artists and valuing the creative process, and really gaining as individuals the confidence to express our divine talents, which is the creative spirit. So really celebrating that in a really individualistic way, I think is such a gorgeous thing you're doing. And
Well,
I'm happy to be part of it.
amazing. So I think I'm going to follow a chronological order of events so that I don't miss out on anything that is
Okay.
true love, right? So I think the first time I met you, we met at our good friend Lazar's place. I miss Lazar, so shout out to Lazar real quick. Uh, and during those days, I remember you were very passionately involved with an art scavenger hunt under the sugar coated brand, if I remember correctly, right?
Yes, completely correct. That was in probably early days of 2019, I think. And it was my first really big step out as an artist. It was a huge risk. It really required um, gaining more resources than I had as an individual and calling on my network of people in LA to really assist and support. And it was really one of those soul expanding moments that was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to jump into this and trust. And I met some amazing people in the process, including yourself.
And so like one of the few moments that stand out about that time when you were in the middle of executing the art scavenger hunt was just your entrepreneurial spirit. Like the first time I met you, you were, like just very sweet with everyone and expressing your interest in this event and just encouraging everyone to just show up, right? And so I saw that, I was like, man, like she's really going for it. Like she believes in this. And I think I remember it was like 21 art pieces spread across in the streets of Los Angeles, and you were basically going to like drop some truths, if you will, under the edges of the artwork, right?
Yeah, so the whole concept of sugar coated is to use, the term sugar coated is something we use like I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to make the truth sweeter than it needs to be. I'm just going to give it to you. And so it's like the jagged little pill, the ugly truth. You can't handle the truth. And this was in 2019, before 2020, before we had all of these really big breakout social movements. And I had gotten involved in activism in 2017 with the divestment movement that happened as a result of Standing Rock and the battle over, who has right to water, who has right to resources, essentially was the argument, which will be the argument moving forward also. But I got involved then, and I found that it was so important for us to really, as the privileged community, speak about these issues in a way that wasn't going to polarize us or make us, make people feel bad about their privilege or about the fact that they don't know. And rather than, people were like, why don't you know this? I thought, why not introduce people to these topics, these difficult topics through art, something fun, something sugar coated. And that was the concept of it. And it was a really big vision, because I think as an artist, I like to think of creating worlds is kind of where my mind goes, is like, how can I create a different world for you? And this was my first world I was creating. Yeah, it took a lot of courage. I kind of figured as long as I let that fire burn passionately in me, my fear couldn't get to me. And I was right until it was over. And then all of those fears I kept at bay totally like annihilated me in the aftermath. But little did I know that that's actually a totally typical process of when you have this, major release as an artist, and then there's this melancholy that happens afterwards, and this how am I ever going to beat my own level kind of experiences, and really severe self-doubt. But it's a process. It's like this, because
Yeah.
now obviously, a couple of years later, in 2020, like you mentioned, I was working as a writer on Rhyme and
Mhm.
Reason, which is an adult cartoon show about two alien best friends. One wants to rebel and go to party, or one wants to rebel against the government, and the other one wants to just go to parties. And it's like these two these two archetypes, the partier and the rebel, is
Yeah.
ultimately these two parts of ourselves. Like, do we just stay in our joyous state and vibrationally stay in joy, because energetically that's really important, or do we resist these oppressive forces, and do these things, do they work together? And so these really deep philosophical questions, I think, are, it's what a better platform to put them forth in than a cartoon show. So and Sophisticats, which is my other cartoon show that we
Yeah.
developed in 2020, is about four cat best friends dealing with the balance of work and relationship. Also, two really big issues that, this balance that we struggle with as humans. So dealing with those issues and kind of poking fun at our experience of adulting in cartoons has been my adventure over the last year. And it's kind of wild, because it's just all of the things that I had planned to do all are taking time to get moving. And in the meantime, I just keep creating new stuff. So in the meantime, I just got asked to be a part of the Parade of Hearts, which is a large citywide outdoor art walk that will be going on in spring in Kansas City. So I'm going to be doing this huge, like 6-foot art sculpture. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm literally on YouTube, like, how do you do fiberglass?
Nice.
But I'll I'll figure it out, because that's, the exciting part is the figuring it out part. Watching myself train myself is kind of like the inner geek of me. It's like intercompute, like new information, you know.
But I feel like I want to go back to the art scavenger hunt just for a second before we dive
Sure.
deeper into Rhyme and Reason and Sophisticats. So, I mean, in terms of just the whole act of it, right? You coming up with the idea, you coming up with this idea of, okay, I'm going to go find some streets in LA and I'm going to do some artwork on the walls, right? I mean, it's a bit of a rebellious act
Oh
in
yeah.
itself. Yeah.
It's sorry, go ahead.
So it's like, I've been struggling with this question myself lately, about, if we want to, we can use art to drive attention to things that deserve attention, right? Like some things just are sitting and just are just rotting in, if I may call the right? The political right. They're just like people have being happy with the status quo and things are just not changing. And so sometimes I feel like as artists, maybe artists have to like make a bold step and just act with a bit of defiance, if you will, right? And so that's what it felt like. It felt very rebellious, but it was sugar coated, right? So,
Right. Well, and it was funny because my tagline for that show, or one of them, I had a few. I said, "Where truth never tasted so sweet." But one of them that my mom gave me, this magnet that my mom gave me for Christmas one year, it said, "Art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable."
okay, I will definitely steal that if your mom allows me to do that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And it was
Yeah.
funny because I think my mom has always, she's studied art history, and she's always talked about art, how it really reflected the culture of the time. And of course the artist who's doing it. Right. And at that time, I was really just trying to get the world to pay attention. And I had never really stepped out as an artist. And so to me, the best way to promote the big show was to do something that was literally out in the streets. I had watched what is it? Banksy Does New York, which
Okay.
is the 30-day street art scavenger hunt that Banksy does. And people just went nuts over this. Now, granted, I know that Banksy's got a massive following, but I thought, why not create something that's going to create a momentum going into the show, something that's related to the show and that's totally different than the show.
Yeah.
And I, like, to me, looking back at that, I still can't believe I did it. Like, I look back and I was like, that was a lot of crazy work. I can't believe I signed on to that, let alone accomplished it. Like, that's one of those things where it's just like, good
Yeah.
job, self, and it was, you caught me in that buzz where I was just so focused on what I was doing. And that type of passion, it comes in waves and you just kind of have to ride it out. And I think that I still really have no idea what kind of impact that left. I know that it did because I had people, a few people come up and say to me like certain stories, but um, I think that was definitely one of my really big come out moments of trusting myself to do something big.
Yeah, I think that's what stands out for me as a friend who's observing you going through that. And so I guess, just I guess a good segue now could be the Rhyme and Reason show, because I have that Instagram page up over here on my screen. And to rave or to rebel, that is the question. I just love this tagline.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, because recently I moved to my hometown of Jodhpur in India, and it's a beautiful town. And I hope I'll get the opportunity to show people more of Jodhpur in the film that we are trying to make here. But I'm essentially trying to connect these two worlds of Los Angeles and Jodhpur, which are very similar in a lot of ways, but also not similar in a lot of other ways, right? And so there's this problem with the city where people tend to just throw trash on the streets, and that includes plastic wrappers and things of those nature, which are not good for the aesthetics of the city, that I'm very proud of. And so basically we did a street cleanup. It's kind of inspired by your art scavenger hunt in a way, because we literally just went out and started cleaning shit up. And so
I watched that, and you were doing
yeah,
the fire performing there. That was
yeah.
so amazing. I literally sent that link to my sister because my sister is a fire performer.
Okay, great. I mean,
Yeah, she's a flow artist, and I was like, Meredith, check this out. My friends are so cool.
I was really I mean, a part of it was hey, should we work with the local officials here? And I felt like it would have taken way too much time to get through the red tape to actually do that. And I was like, you know what? We're just gonna clean this place up. We're just replace some plants instead, and you're just gonna leave and not gonna do anything more than that, right? And so I felt very scared doing that. But when I was there, I was like, you know what? I'm here now. We're just gonna do it. We're just gonna roll with it. So
Well, it feels like you're alive,
yes, I think that is definitely the feeling that I was going through. But that tagline of to rave or to rebel, because essentially that was a rave to, increase the eco consciousness of people in the area. And I hope it really works. But this tagline makes me think about this event, and so I want to know more about this alien meeting a partier, and tell me more about this show, please.
Well, so it was interesting. So this happened right in the middle of the time that I was building the Sugar Coated show. I got messaged by somebody on Instagram, and he said, "Hey, I'm working on this show. I'm looking for an artist to do the cartoons. Would you be willing to meet up and talk to me about this project?" And he'd had the first half of the pilot written. He didn't know that I was an activist. He didn't know that I was a raver, and he didn't know that I was a writer. He thought that I was just an artist. So we met up thinking that I was just going to do the cartoons, and we just ended up hitting it off and ended up just writing and being like, this is happening. So all of 2019 into 2020, we were writing Rhyme and Reason. So we have the first 10 episodes complete now.
Wow.
And then in the beginning of 2020, we were like, well, what should we do next? And so we dove into a concept of Sophisticats, which I had from, way earlier on before. But so Rhyme and Reason, it really takes these, I feel like I have these two archetypes dueling within me. Do I party or do I rebel? And that's basically what true love is. True love is the partier or rebel. I just want to love everything. I don't want everything to be happy and in good spirits. And sometimes you do that by partying, and sometimes you do that by participating, And so it's funny because so one of the species, so rhyme and reason is divided up into 4 species. You have the mantises that run everything. You have the toads that are bred for their service. You have the aliens, which are sort of like the muggles, the ones that are just wandering around unaware and they're the consumers. And then you have the weeds, which is actual like marijuana plants, and they're being killed off in mass to make joints, which is the planet's largest export. So the weeds are trying to fight for their lives and saying like, you can't kill us off in mass. This is, this is genocide. And they're like, yeah, but you're our largest export. So of course, like somebody's going to have to suffer. So it brings up these really deep philosophical, once again, concepts about who has the right to life, who has the right to say that you don't have a right to life. And even though it's for a plant, and we're going to continue to smoke weed because that's what humans do, it brings up these sort of concepts of who has the right to say that you can live and you can't, and for whose benefit.
Interesting. And so basically you're just sort of snowballing all the artistic energy that stemmed from Sugar Coated, went on to Rhyme and Reason, and then this the third major artistic thing, lack of a better word right now, that you're doing, as it's obvious from your Instagram, is the show called Sophisticats. So how do you handle so many projects at the same time is what I'm blown away by. I'm trying to make one film here.
It's so funny because like I don't even know. Like to me, I think the way that my mind operates literally is what's the next most obvious thing that I need to complete. And I'm always doing that. And it's actually like, I would say that one of my areas of improvement is looking back and actually celebrating my accomplishments, because I get down on myself hard. I'm like, nothing's moving, nothing's going on. I don't have any projects. I'm bored. I'm not inspired. And then I like non-ego self like steps in, like observer self steps in and is like, wait a minute, hold on, let's reverse. Look at all of the projects that you've completed. They're all moving. They're all doing things. And I think that I think it's my Aries nature that's like, what's new, what's next? Is it not done yet? Well, give me something new to like sink into. I'm a great initiator. I've gotten better at finishing as an adult because I realized it's important. But for a long time, I would start stuff and be like, I'd get so bored with it halfway through that I wouldn't finish. So now I put just as much energy into finishing as I do into starting. And I think that giving myself that gas to finish projects just gives me that much more momentum for more projects. But I mean, like, for example, when I was building Sugar Coated, I would plan during the week and then we would write every Saturday. So it was only one day a week, but we would write for 8 hours a day. And I think that this is one of those terms, deep work, I think is the term, where you allow yourself to get into a really deep flow state, which is totally in alignment with your film, which is like, what is that flow state? Like, what is it that we're really tapping into when we allow ourselves to sink beneath the mundane necessities of the movement of the mind? What is that? And why does it bring us such joy? Why is it so healing? Like flow arts, for example, my sister and I talk about this, the movement of the body with it, like with this object, you become one with this object and you become with the movement of both you and there's a magic that happens. And that happens in every art form that there is, like snowboarding, skateboarding, painting, singing, everything. And so I think that part of what I'm enjoying as an artist is finding all those different types of flow states that exist. Because I do write, I do sing, I do paint, I do draw, I do all of these things. And the experience of those flow states is all very different.
That's exciting. That's probably one of the reasons why I guess you managed to accomplish so many things, is because you're always seeking inspiration. And I guess, and that inspiration, when it comes, you're just in the zone and you get a lot done. But you're the perfect person who should be asked this question. And I feel like my co-founder Rustic is going to get a kick out of it. Do you feel being productive is really important?
Oh yeah. My sanity is attached to it.
Okay, your sanity is attached to it. Okay, I think that answers it. That answers it. It's for true sanity that she is an art machine. That's pretty much it.
I mean, it really is, because like if I sit stagnant for too long, I start feeling anxiety. Like
Mhm.
I start feeling anxious if I'm not moving. And I know that that's not the case for everyone. I think it's just the way that I'm designed. Like I have no idea, but I just have this. I think it's like if you're into astrology, I think it's because my Mars is conjunct my ascendant.
Okay, my grandma's not with me anymore, but she would have been able to understand that.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean like I honor it, but I also like so 2021 has been really interesting because I'm teaching Trew how to sit.
okay, this is great. This is great. Good luck with
It's
that.
really hard.
Yeah, but I'm sure if you want to, you could.
Yeah.
More
Well,
power to you.
it's funny because so another really big important part of me as an artist and what I create is my inner spiritual development, because the art that I create is very correlated with where I am vibrationally at the time. And so like this last year I've been really learning to like slow down and like not have my value attached to my productivity level. So I've been running into all my old stories about like, if you don't create 3 paintings in a month, you're not like a
Yeah.
valuable artist, and like removing that sort of masculine hierarchical like process industrial mindset has been, I've been weeding my garden, let's just put it that way, and those roots are deep.
Okay, well, I wish we had more time because there's so much more to discuss here about everything that you're doing and your values as an artist and as an entrepreneur. But I'm positive that we'll do another interview in the future. But in this moment, if I could drive your attention to this one question that I ask everybody as part of this campaign, like I'd request you to drop into your flow state where you have no fear, you're connected with the divine, and please answer the following question. And the question is, if true, you had no fear of judgment, no fear of failure, no fear of being able to make rent, which dream would you turn into reality?
Singing and dancing.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm teaching myself piano, so I'm on my way there. I'm overcoming my fears bit by bit every day, guys. I'm doing it. I'm doing the work.
Okay, amazing. Well, thank you for the answer. And if I could request you to share some reasons behind why you decided to support this project, that would be great.
I love and do support this project because I believe that our inner creative spirit is our inner divine, and the divine wants to express, and we should celebrate the process as we all learn to have the courage to do it.
Well, thank you, Trew. I really hope that we will catch up again very soon. And
We
in the
shall.
meantime, you will keep on flowing. And I believe that this crowdfunding campaign will be a success. So
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
sure
gonna
we'll
go
catch up
donate.
soon.
I'm gonna go donate to it myself.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
Love
much,
you
Trew.
guys. It's so good to see you.
Same here. Bye-bye. Take care.